When I was a little girl, I wandered beyond the children's sections of the local library, and I discovered the teen section, a world where books were huge and you needed a step stool to pull them down. And as I looked at the shelf in front of me, I locked eyes with a woman on one of the book covers. Her strength and warmth called directly to me, so I stepped forward to get a closer look. The title of the book was Heart of a Woman, and the author, Maya Angelou. A little over a decade later, I was a student at Wake Forest University when I won the ultimate student registration jackpot, which was a seat in Dr. Maya Angelou's World Poetry course. From the moment that Dr. Angelou started off that class by declaring, "I am human, and therefore nothing that is human can be alien to me," I was like, wow, this is going to be much more than just a poetry class. But more than her poetry, her teachings, or her wisdom, the magic of class was Dr. Angelou herself. Her wisdom, compassion, and just universal love rolled off of her in waves. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was experiencing just how glorious and powerful the heart of a woman could be. In the fall semester at Wake Forest, a hate group flew in from Kansas, and they were going to protest Dr. Angelou's teaching on universal love by carrying signs around our campus saying, "God hates fags," Jews, and countless other groups. A bunch of students decided to stage a campus-wide peace vigil as a nonviolent response to this group. And since I hung out a lot in the fine arts building, I was given the very easy task of just asking a few student groups to provide some music for our event. I never anticipated that a simple invitation to sing one song at a peace vigil would throw these student groups into heated conflict as the individual members clashed over opposing views on gay marriage, religious diversity, and a whole bunch of other things. And out of the ashes of this chaos, two buddies and I started a new women's multicultural music group called SOUL, an acronym for Sisterhood of Universal Love, and a nod to Professor Angelou. Each month, my soul sisters and I would head off campus for a regular community service project. And during my senior year, we headed to an AIDS hospice. After our regular music concert and our time with the residents, one of the staff members came to us and said, would you be willing to give a special private concert for one of our residents? We said, absolutely, and said goodbye to the people in the front room and followed her down the hall. As we headed down the corridor, I felt a perceptible shift in the air, as if we had warped from the warmth of a summer cookout to the desert in the dead of night. And once we got to the very end of the hall, our guide stopped outside the room, turned towards us, and said that the resident inside, a man named Andre, was in the final stages of the disease. I felt a chill run through our group, and then a silent agreement as each of us prepared ourselves for what we were about to experience. Our guide gently knocked on the door, opened it, and ushered us inside. Andre lay in bed, his rail-thin frame nearly drowning in the pillows that surrounded him. His face was gaunt, and angry lesions had erupted all over his skin. There were two women sitting to the left of him, one holding his hand, and a second dabbing his forehead with a cold compress. His eyes were closed, but I could tell by his restless movements that he was indeed awake. In order for us to fit in the room, we had to stand in a very closed semicircle around the bed. And by the time we got settled, all of a sudden, Andre suddenly convulsed, violently. His torso arched forward dramatically, and his eyes came wide open, his jaw dropping in a silent scream of agony. I didn't realize that I was holding my breath until he slumped back into the pillows and moaned. I felt my sisters frozen beside me, equally shocked into silence. And then the woman who had led us into the group just looked at us and gave us a nod as if to communicate the word, sing. So I remember taking my hands and just drying them up, and then hearing a collective breath. At first, the notes were so airy and soft, as if we were afraid that our voices would shatter the room into a million pieces. But then, gradually, it gave way to a soothing lullaby that felt right and reverent for the moment. Every so many minutes or so, Andre would suffer another spasm, thrusting forward and arching, his sharp breaths like a staccato instrument and our melody laying underneath. I just remember looking at him and choking back the tears as I was witnessing his incredible suffering, knowing that there was nothing that I could do except for what I was doing at that moment. So that's what I decided, the 20-year-old inside me decided to do, to go into my heart and to allow the compassion inside me to be communicated in the music that was coming out of me. I was filled with love, sending that to him. And as this was happening, I was aware that I was not alone in this experience, that every single woman around me was doing the same. As the minutes and the music passed on, I noticed that Andre's rhythm had shifted as well. And the sharp gasps that were going on just gave way to like a slow, steady, silent breath. By the time we got to our very last song, which was Seasons of Love from the musical Rent, I saw Andre's eyelids flutter all the way closed, and he drifted off into a peaceful slumber. The last lyrics that we had sung to him quite fittingly were, "Share love, give love, spread love, and measure your life in love." For all I know, that may have been the very last thing that Andre heard on the planet. A few days later, a woman from the agency had called us to let us know that Andre had passed away after the sleep that he had fallen into following our visit. I felt deeply saddened by this, but at the same time, overwhelmingly grateful for having experienced the gift of him on this planet while he was here. My visit with Andre was one of the most profound experiences for me, not just in school, but in my life. It was the answer to the question that gets asked endlessly through college. What do you want to be when you grow up? Because of my experience with Andre, because of Dr. Angelou as my teacher, I know what it is that I want to be in this world, what my first calling is, whether I'm teaching or coaching, writing new workshops, being with friends, or telling a story. My calling, what I want to be in this world, is the love that I am. That is my first calling, the calling to share my heart, the great heart of a woman. And I'm doing that right here and right now with every single one of you. Thank you.